Shalom, shalom, people. Sorry, I feel like I haven't done a video in a while. It's just been doing some stuff actually, just focusing on me and shit. To be quite honest, like always, but other stuff too. I recently bought ordered the Looney Tunes what is it Looney Tunes Golden Collection. So decided to get that. So I'm getting that. That's coming next week most likely because I wanted to get it early before it started. You know how things ship before that you're supposed to, but you get it before, like that. I love doing that shit. Mainly because it comes early. Sometimes it depends where it is, you know. And at first I saw something that was going to be in Canada. But I'm like, I want it. I didn't want because I knew if I got it in Canada, it would take a while for it to come here. But the one that I got here in California will come pretty fast. So because it's here in the United States, obviously. So then it doesn't have to jump through sorry, you don't have to jump a whole bunch of hoops just to get your mail. So and the Canada one costs like about 48, while the English one, not the California one, the Canada one was 48, while the California one was like 42 or 45. I was like, because I literally thought it was like 49 and 48. Then when I looked at it again, I'm like, oh, never mind. I thought it was a different price. So maybe I looked at something else that was similar to it, or maybe I got confused with one or the other. So what am I here to talk about? I'm here to talk about these classic cartoons. Like I mentioned, I put it up on Instagram, Facebook. I mean, share it to my friend Henry. Shout out to you if you're watching. I shared a picture showing that I made, a picture that I put together, saying that these orcs were interpreted as in old cartoons. That's why you see the way Mickey Mouse looks. Most people say that, oh, that's blackface or something like that. I won't deny that was probably what people saw. But what was the meaning of it? The truly meaning of it. We always hear what these motherfuckers or what we always fucking hear. Just to have people offended. Look, some of these old Warner Brothers cartoons, like the Looney Tunes one, like the racy ones, some people that get offended by it are not actually the people that are supposed to get offended by it. Usually it's the people that made the fucking goddamn cartoons, like Caucasian people. Like you get offended of showing what a brother actually looks like with big nose and big lips, acting like a Native American, basically. That's offensive to you? How's that offensive when that's actually true? Oh, the way they were designed, the way they looked. Look, if they were eating a watermelon, I will understand, you know? But like that, really? You got offended with that? And it's usually not us. It's usually just, again, these orcs. Why are these orcs getting offended of something that they looked at and they still put it down in their cartoons? See, they want us to get offended by it. This is the game that they play. They play a game of being offended so other people can look at it so they can feel offended too, being like, oh, if they think that's wrong, so it has to be wrong, Because everything. Look, one thing that hasn't changed that's always been apparent until this system really does fall. It really is, obviously. But people think, like, I could talk all this stuff, but since I don't have a degree, since I don't have a fucking paper up on my fucking goddamn wall, no one will fucking listen to me. But if I have a suit on and I have a fucking piece of paper up on my wall and talk professionally, like a robot, automatically people can listen. But if I don't be myself, no one won't listen. You see how that fucking is? I'm rolling on this fucking hemp carrot. Hey, we're talking about Looney Tunes today, right? Making a carrot blunt. So, all your characters, not just by Looney Tunes, but all your old characters like Mickey Mouse, Goofy, Daffy Duck, all these Looney Tunes characters, all these Disney characters, they represent us. Look at what these Looney Tunes characters, look what they can do. The stuff that they could do is fucking amazing. Guys, remember when I compared the whole Tom and Jerry stuff that we are Tom and Jerry, basically? That's why our parents always tell us, oh, even when I was a kid, every time we chased around, when you're a kid, chasing around with your sibling, your parents always tell you, hey, stop Tom and Jerry. Why did they say that? Why do you say that? It's because subconsciously that's what we were doing. Back, you could call it ancient times, but back in the olden days, back when we were giants, right? We threw shit at each other like it was nothing, all right? And not to say some of us that were not giants were not like that either. Of course we were. Again, there's a reason why they interpretate this in cartoons, okay? And if you want to go even further with that, if people still don't want to believe me with that, look at Bosco. Bosco is like one of the first Warner Brothers characters, Looney Tunes characters. He's very important, actually. Some people are actually surprised when we find out about what Bosco really is. They'd be like, oh, he's actually a brother, a kid brother, basically a what we call a Negro kid. But he's an Anunnaki kid. So when you look at that, you'd be like, oh, surprisingly, they didn't put him in situations that people will make fun of him, as in like, oh, because he's black, basically, or brother, When you look at those, you'd be like, they could have been more offensive than they could have been. They were basically, if you look at those are nothing compared to the World War II stuff, the racy stuff that people really do get offended about. The ones that really are offended, not the ones that people just want to be offended just because they're offended, because they're all somehow out there, like I mentioned before, So, Bosco he's not the original Looney Tunes character. That goes to I uploaded the 3 clips of the character in my channel here. Foxy. Foxy is another good example, so is Bosco, of what a brother is. And some of these animals too. Look, we also have a realm. Sorry, I can't really talk straight because my ears kind of clogged up from water. So right now I'm like either speaking loud or speaking fucked up. So I can't really hear my voice a lot right now. So happens to me sometimes, man. It does. It's not the only time that's happened to me. Sometimes I have to like clean it with not Q-tips, because that does not work at all, guys. You guys should know that by now. So. But moving on. This is how you know these characters are actually brothers and sisters. Okay? They even have, I think one of those also has an animation short that shows insects, but these insects literally look like what Bosco looks like. They're literally telling you that there's brothers and sisters that look like insectoids. Okay? Okay? And the thing is, it's funny because Remedy H not so long ago mentioned that in his video that we had we had insectoids in this planet that we were friends with because they were brothers and sisters. Right? So what happened with that? Other people know that more than I do, to be quite honest. So, that's why I always say, watch videos of Remedy H and Serious Temper, because those two guys right there, if you ever want to find out some of the stuff that, if you ever want to find out more of the stuff that I've talked about, look at their videos. So, moving on with that, the reason I talk about this whole cartoon stuff is because we, as Caucasian people, we need to come to the fact that these Caucasian people back in the days, back in the 30s and 20s, they were making stuff that us, kind of loud. when the Laughograms, when Walt Disney and some of the members from Warner Brothers, when they were working together at one point before they separated, they made Alice Comics. Alice Comics. And those Alice Comics, which were like Alice in Wonderland type of things with their own thing, those comics had animals that were like, no, that could be interpreted as a brother or a sister, or just an animal that was just like what they saw back in those times. A lot of people might not think that, but remember the whole thing that happened in 1812, I think, or what happened with the whole flood. That happened not so long ago. Basically, it happened basically yesterday. So when all of that happened, who had to group up and pick up the pieces? The little children, the kids, and Walt Disney and them were that. Oh, actually, their parents were actually, or the great grandparents were. You see. And the thing is, with Walt Disney and all those guys that were in Laughograms, I think there was 7 guys. If it was 7, correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm not, but it is. If it is 7, that's kind of funny, you know, another number right there. But you some people might think that, you know, they have a sustain to Walt Disney. They actually don't. That's like a little thing that people might think of, but they all knew each other. They all worked with each other. It's just that they didn't want to work with Walt anymore, mainly because he was getting everything, all the glory, all the glitz, and they were like, we're the ones that are doing more of the animation than you. I'm sorry, you, like, not to say you haven't pulled your weight, you have, but once all of a sudden Walt Disney, you stopped, and it's like, not completely, but you stopped in a way like, hello, look at us, you know. But that's probably another story for another day. Anyways, I'm not here to talk about Walt Disney stuff like that. But what I am here to talk about is that these men, these orcs, saw another realm of dimension that's in this planet that has cartoons that are like that. And we are like that too. Why do you think some of us resonate with stuff like that? For crying out loud, there's a movie called The Mask based literally all around that. It's just a mask that you need to wear, and you just become literally a cartoon god. Look at all these cartoons. Like, all these cartoons of Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry, they get hit. They get blown up, they get stabbed, they get all the things that you can think of that a cartoon can go through. Why? People might say that, oh, it's just an old fashioned of cartoons, or like, hey, cartoons like to be beat up on, they don't like to be shit on. But if you really think about it, how can a cat or a mouse survive a fucking explosion to the face? Most people are like, oh, but they were thinking creatively. You see, if you've been on this channel for a long time, you should already know that these motherfuckers don't have any fucking creativity in their bone at all. They stole it either from taking ayahuasca, seeing what's in that astral, or looking at those tablets that their ancestors took, and their ancestors just gave it to them to make the new war, basically, that was in the 1900s, you know? Because after the old war happened, the old ward happened in the 1800s, they had some people had to pick it back up, you know, and how to be correct people that they can trust, also, you know, that were part of their family, you know. So yeah, man, this thing goes deep. This thing goes really deep. It really does, and you can see that, literally just by the how they all came together, and they worked with like Universal at the time. Universal is a very old company, very old company. They used to work with again Oswald. Oswald. They used to do the Oswald comic books, then they separated and branched off. And Oswald is also a representation of a brother. And if you look at Oswald's fate design, same thing with Mickey. and I think a little bit of Goofy también, that you see an M on them, especially when it comes to Oswald and Mickey. When you look at their ears and their little, literally what I have, basically what they give them a widow's peak in a way, but that little 3 that they have on them, that means 33-degree Mason, Freemason, or 33-degree Mason, wherever you want to put it. You know, for us Mason, for them Freemason. You gotta remember, when a long time ago when they were like, oh, we're Freemasons, I'm like, free? What are you free for? Aren't you supposed to be Masons? What are you calling yourselves Freemasons for? I remember thinking about that when I was about 18, and you know, I still was questioning it until I found out more about stuff again, like from Remedy H and stuff. I'm telling you guys, like watch their videos, you know, because these guys, man, I always give them shout outs and all that shit, because it's true, man. Like, some of the stuff that I found out stuff from them. Obviously, I found other stuff from me just researching and finding out for myself, and deep within also. But so for a character like Bosco to exist and still people look at it as like not offensive, well, to be honest, some people think he's a monkey. And to be honest, that right there, that is offensive, to be quite honest, because he's supposed to be a what we call a Negro triad, right? And then some people still think he's a monkey. That's something that these orcs, these Caucasian people, some of them, not all of them, want us to fucking have that mindset that we come from monkeys, or we are monkeys. So what are them? What are they? Don't say barbarians, because they had to come from something else before they became barbarians. Okay? Which were not monkeys, by the way. So I already made a discussion about that. We're not monkeys. So-called black people and Hispanic people, we're not monkeys. We're literally plasma, dark matter beings. Alright? And we can become a physical form anytime we want, man. Right? We can never be destroyed. And that's why you look at these cartoons and you be like, all these Looney Tunes characters, even these Disney characters, every time they get blown up or shot, they can't die. They can't really physically die. Could they die from each other? Yes. But the stuff that they use to hit each other with, it's not killing them. It's not really hurting them. For crying out loud, you see Duck get shot, he's all charcoal and shit like that. Or like, you know, like literally fade away to the floor, but then eventually he gets back up and shit like that. When you look at the early versions of not Roger Rabbit, of Bugs Bunny, he was very he was a magician. He was a magician. If you looked at early shorts of Bugs Bunny, he was literally a magic user in a way, you know. He still is. It's just that you don't see it as much as what he doesn't. He doesn't do it as in front of you as much as he just does it as out of a hat, because he's a rabbit at the end of the day, you know. So, and I like how the fact they did not point it out, but like in a way hinted that all these characters have their own unique style of like how they are, because they take a form of an animal, and that also goes back to Egyptian. You know how the Egyptian gods and goddesses took the forms of animals? You see, this goes even more deeper than we think, my people, right? And also, you don't think that there weren't beings that look like that in the realm of monsters, because there's some Looney Tunes characters that look like monsters that will fit perfectly in the realm of the monsters, or the generation of the monsters, or the era of the monsters, all right? That was where, you know, the Titans were at too, obviously, because we were the monster era. But there were other stuff there too, like obviously these wicked ones. So there was a lot of stuff actually. So like seriously, there's so much, it's ridiculous. And the thing is too, have you ever heard of the Dark Knight? It's basically a giant black satellite that's literally hovering around our planet, and it's real. It is a real thing. It is. There's literally a video and a picture of it. You can find it online most likely. And that that satellite has recorded everything that's on this planet since day one. Since this planet has been made, it's been recording everything that's in this planet. So there's nothing to hide from these wicked ones. That satellite has seen everything that's on this planet. It's seen what you did, it's seen what I did, it's seen what your mama did. Okay? It's seen what your grandparents did, it saw what their parents did, their grandparents did. Think about that. Most people feel uncomfortable thinking about that. But it's damn true. Remember the episode in South Park when they all found out that they were part of a show, and they start like getting fucked up a little bit because they decided to just be like, oh yeah, cool, and then they're getting canceled because the universe basically, or the aliens, they found out, oh shit, they're aware of themselves that they're a part of a show. Yeah, cancel this shit, destroy the fucking planet. It was like that. And when you look at that, it kind of connects to the Truman Show a little bit. It just reminds me of the Truman Show a little bit, with the whole like finding out what you really are and shit like that. I don't know. I just like the Truman Show a lot. I love that movie. Really, really good movie, to be quite honest. I should get that movie. It starts off really, really rough at first, in my opinion. But the more you move on, you be like, holy shit, this is actually not a bad movie. It's not. It's a really good movie. It takes time to get used to. But it is a good movie. So it's just the opening is kind of like, but when you progress more, when you really, it doesn't take too long until the character Jim Carrey plays finds out what's going on. So it doesn't take that long, which is a good thing, because in some movies they drag that out and you're like, can you hurry the fuck up? I get it. Can you like hurry up? So the fact the audience get it, and then they were like, all right, let's just hurry up here, So going back to cartoons. All the cartoons, kind of like they still use that style that from what Bosco looked like, and also Mickey Mouse and Foxy, what they look like. Kind of like, have you seen the show Cuphead? The only difference is they changed their heads to cups, and literally, that's another innuendo of, since their head are like cups. Yeah, and then the straw going up. I mean, it's right there on your face, people. I mean, even when I saw Cuphead the first time, I'm like, these Caucasians, they fucking know. Even when they were making this game, they knew. Oh, I used all my house and all that. I'm like, oh, you're using that type of method? Using that type of story? That Walt Disney type of story? The Vince McMahon type of story? Oh, I sold my whole house type of thing to make something big. I've heard that story before. Come on, man. Make something new. Seriously, man. When I heard that from the developers of Cuphead, I'm like, what else is new? What else is new? How else you got fucking famous, you motherfucker? I appreciate what you do with Cuphead and stuff like that, but you guys had to do some sick, disgusting shit just to have that shit on the screen. Just saying. Who's your mama? Who's your daddy? What connections they have? What connections you have? No, it's just regular people. Dude, come on, man. We're in 2022, and people already know that regular people like you and me don't go to places that you see like regular people go to. Like you see on television. Even watching it on YouTube like a documentary or someone pointing it out. Come on, guys. Still, they don't know the fucking goddamn truth. They're just talking about what they been heard and regurgitate. Sorry, this is a just talking video, but I do want to mention other things. So, other than that, look at Mario Brothers. The first Donkey Kong was actually inspired by, yes, Donkey Kong. I mean, King Kong, but also Popeye. And the way Popeye is in his shorts. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? From clear as day, you knew that Popeye is a brother. They made him white, but clearly he's a brother. Let me tell you something too. The original Charlie and Chocolate Factory, Charlie was supposed to be black. so-called black, but they changed it to white because the stereotype of Charlie back in the day, you know. So the, you guys gotta know. It is kind of funny too that Willy Wonka was white and he was going to and the Oompa Loompas were actually black, but he was actually going to give a black kid, his company. Was Willy Wonka originally black too, or not? Something to think about too. You know, the original Oompa Loompas were black, but then he's going to give the company to a black kid, even though he has black slaves. Hey, ain't the first time it's happened. Okay, it's like Dolph. He wrote that shit mainly because like he lived it or some shit. I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised if he's heard stories or he's put some of his own shit in those fucking shorts. I mean, in those books of like Matilda and all that shit. Matilda? Come on, man. You know exactly what he was doing. The witches? Come on, guys. That guy was literally telling you all that shit, man. What do you think he got? What do you think sometimes he freaked out every time, like, for example, Jim Henson was walking on it? He knew that Jim Henson was going to go all out and be like, no, I'm going to show you the truth of what some of these motherfuckers really look like. Why do you think he got killed for it? Most people think he got killed from the Dark Crystal, which is a nice fact. I mean, it's not deniable. I mean, look what he put in the Dark Crystal. When I saw that in the Dark Crystal, I'm like, yeah, these elites killed him for this. Yeah, I can totally see it. Yeah. But once you see the witches, you're like, oh, no, he got killed for this one. Oh, no, he got killed for this one. The you could probably debate with the Dark Crystal, but he got killed for this one more because the whole sex trafficking type of shit. He probably got killed with the adrenochrome stuff in the Dark Crystal and what the elites look like, some of them, but he got more with the whole like sex trafficking stuff. That was a no for that, definitely, especially around the time when they still want to keep shut about it, even though they did talk about it, but they won't like, it was there, but people didn't talk about it as much because what was going to happen to them. It was there, and some people knew, but the masses still didn't know. To be honest, we were all still naive about that shit. We knew that pedophiles and rapists were still around, and some of us probably were thinking of what kind of world this is. If God was real and all that shit, what would happen? For crying out loud, my mom told me, like, if God was real, how come he didn't stop what happened in the Twin Towers when people were falling off the building? Still to this day, she has that question. I could give her the answer, but look, hell, I could give you the answer myself. But am I going to? If you know, you know. If you know thyself, you know, and you don't have to, you don't have to hear an answer from me or anybody. If you know, okay. And some people want to be like, "Oh, I know." Do you know from not by researching? Do you know by researching instead of just knowing about what they tell you from documentaries and shit? Don't listen to what they say in documentaries, man. It's the same thing when you look at Ancient Aliens, which I'm looking at it right there. I have the DVDs from season 1 through 6. No, season 1 through. Yeah, season 1 through 6. And every time these orcs always mention all ancestors, all ancestors. I mentioned this before, but still, when they mention that, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. What ancestors? All your ancestors did is literally fucked, raped, and killed, and eat. That's all you fucking did. You even grabbed all women, cut their fucking bellies up, and stomped on the fucking baby when it came out. So don't fuck with me, all right? And then when you tell normal white people about this, they're like, "Oh, that was back then, man." They're like, "No, it's not, man." I'm like, that shit happened yesterday, because time doesn't exist in the astral, motherfucker. Might exist what here, but even that shit's dying out. Kind of a lot of people can't. Today, I don't even know what day it was. Some people say that might be a bad thing, but other times it's a good thing. Why? Because you're not paying attention to this fucking system. You're not paying attention to the world that they created. And if you all living, say if you're on YouTube, say if you're watching like cartoons and shit like that throughout the day, or you're doing stuff throughout the day, like again playing video games or something like that. For example, just examples I'm saying. If you're not using your third eye, you're gonna be lost. If you're not questioning things when you see stuff, you're gonna be lost. That's why, like I don't. Hell, there was one point that I didn't watch. I didn't play video games or watch movies a lot. I still, to be honest, I just got in a way coming back to the cusp of like watching, binging, all that shit, but not really. But not really binging, Because if I was binging, I'll just be like entertained. But I'm using my third eye. Kind of loud. I was using my third eye when I was watching the whole season of season 1 and 2 of Titans. And I'm just like looking at it like this. Not to say I'm not liking the characters or the story, yeah, but that's secondary. Ever since I opened myself and who I was and everything like that shit came secondary after that. That's why you can't talk to muggles about some of the stuff. Because they'd be like, oh, can we talk about something else? Because they get anxiety. Look, God Jamal pointed out that's like vibration lifting and all that. Look, if it's right, it's right. If it's not, it's not. To be quite honest, it's I've had feelings like that before. I've literally told you guys a story that I have tapped in to these wicked beings' fear a long time ago, and I thought I could never come out because their fear is so. Guys, you have no idea how much they're all scared, and they are desperate. Desperate. If you even try to even look at that type of fear, they are desperate for you to just like grab you, pull you. The reason they couldn't do that to me because they were actually burning. They were like, oh, fuck. They couldn't touch me. I know exactly what was happening to them. I'm like, you guys are scared, and I literally feel it right here, literally right here. And you try to make me scared. No, fuck you, dude. I know exactly what you're trying to do. And I was coping through it. I was actually looking at that feeling, just analyzing it and looking at it. The reason I do that is because I guess some people might be like, won't you become numb? To be honest, you're looking at it and you're fighting. In a way, fighting it. Not fighting it, but you're actually observing it and knowing it. And then when you know what it is, you're not really, again, you're quote unquote fighting it, but you're not really fighting it, Now, I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about like mentally, like fighting it. But that also goes to another thing of mentally fighting it. Are you mentally fighting it as in like, oh no, I'm scared? Or mentally fighting it as in like, okay, like observing? Because there's a difference between are you fighting it from fear or you're fighting it of observing. Because when you're fighting it, when it comes to observing, you hit the ballpark, to be quite honest. Because that's another part of you that you are scared of. Because if you look at it, and you're like, oh, you're scared, if that's the first thing that pops up in your head, you'd be like, yeah, take back, look at that thought, and be like, why am I so scared of it? Let's look at the whole situation. And I'm like, I got scared. That little scare tactic came because I tapped into a fear of how scared of these motherfuckers are, and they're literally scared that they will bring you down to that point. What do you think they're doing? What they're doing right now with the whole Ukraine and Russia type shit in China? It's a game. It's a game. It's a play. It's acting. And yes, they're fighting amongst each other too. But you think you're gonna see that on screen? No. The fuck is wrong with you? They would never show themselves killing each other on screen. Because if they did, it's acting. It's fake. They're just trying to rive up people. Again, we live in a Truman Show. People, there's no reason for us to look at them and be like, ah! We can observe it, like I said. Like brothers, like our guy in TV. He even said the same thing. We can observe it, but don't revolve around it. Don't spend your time on it 24/7. We can talk about and discuss it. That's fine. Yeah, man. What? we won't be evolving and learning if we didn't talk about stuff like this, even just little things. That's what life is all about, man. That's what life is all about. Oh man, it reminded me of the one scene in Man on the Moon when Jim Carrey's all dressing at that his impersonator, and he's like, "It's just good old comedy," you know, some shit like that. If you watch that movie, Man on the Moon, to be honest, that's a really underrated movie. I think it's really good. The people that talk shit on it have no idea what they're talking about with that movie. To be honest, as a wrestling fan, that's a good movie. As a Jim Carrey fan, that's a good movie. In the spiritual enlightenment way, holy shit, like that goes to the deep dive of literally psyche of characters. To be quite honest, yeah, it's the same. If you watch The Angry Video Game Nerd, someone even told them, hey, almost like the whole thing with Batman, do you live long enough to see yourself become the villain? Do you die as a hero, or you live enough to see yourself become the villain? Which one is it? Sorry if I started with my words there, but this is what happens when you get an eel cloud and you can barely fucking hear your voice. But I mean, now I know how deaf people feel. They probably go mad. Ooh, man, that's to be honest. That's nothing that I don't want my enemies to go through. To be quite honest, like everyone should hear, everyone should see, everyone should breathe. I don't give a fuck who you are, you know. So, because all of those things, you should really appreciate. I don't give a fuck if you're a wicked motherfucker. Appreciate that you're fucking goddamn breathing at least. Whatever's left of you. Appreciate what is left of you. If you don't have anything, you'd be like the fucking emperor in the Dark Crystal, fucking literally decaying. I think I did a video of that showing you that he was decaying. I think it was in this channel, my other channel. Either way, I was showing it, and then YouTube gave a copyright strike on that shit, and I had to put the video again or something like that. I could be wrong, but so let me go back to these cartoons, these old classic cartoons, because I do want to talk about that. You know how they did blackface with the gloves and all that? I remember not so long ago, like about I'll say probably 5 years ago, that it's not that long, but it seems long, right? About 5 years ago, I looked at a blackface, and I looked at an old cartoon character, like for example, maybe like Goofy or Mickey Mouse, and I was like, I looked at the blackface guy, and I looked at Mickey Mouse, and I was just like, why is the blackface dude look exactly like Mickey Mouse, but just without ears? Then eventually I found out about Bosco. And I was like, oh. Literally on Wikipedia, they literally said that he's a Negro child. and somehow white people want to get offended about it. But when you look at these videos of how people talk about old classic Looney Tunes, when you look at, you know, some videos, usually it's Caucasians talking about it, you know, nothing bad about it. It's just that they talk about them being offended about it, and I'm just like, maybe I can understand in the Asian part of it, because that Asian part of it is actually you too. You an Asian is an orc. You Caucasian people are related to them because you are an orc, basically another version of an orc. But if you get offended about what you see with us, you shouldn't. I think there's an old Warner Brothers short also that they show literally so-called black people as angels, and back in the time, they disregard that because they thought black angels was stupid and blasphemy. Huh? I don't know if that was a Warner Brothers short, but actually, I'm intrigued to see that Warner Brothers short, because that whole short is literally just us in it doing what, laundry. You know how the Aunt Jemima look and all that stuff, which a lot of people get offended about that too, even though that's how we dress too. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you people? You get offended of certain stuff that we are, But when you look back of our history, that's what we either look like or just as. What the fuck's wrong with you? You want to listen to these Caucasian people? Then look at your history. The fuck's wrong with you? You look like an idiot. Is that just me? You look like an idiot. Especially Caucasian people. I'm like, what are you there to be offended of? For us? You have no reason to be offended, especially for us. That's like having a white person going with the whole like Black Lives Matter shit. It's like, dude, go in the fucking goddamn corner and sit there where you belong. Because that is dumb fucking bullshit. Are you serious? That's like going back to what Bobby Hemmett said. Why would a white man be so concerned if you stop saying nigger? Why? Why is he offended by it? He's not even infected with the word. Exactly. Why? There's no reason to. You should be complaining the way Mickey Mouse looks like now because he still has the iconic what you call blackface look. He does. Nothing's changed. You think it's changed because, we grewed. If that was the case, no people won't be dying. No people won't be starving. We won't be having sex trafficking and shit like that. So don't tell me that, everything's fine. Don't tell me that. This shit's ending soon, yes, and it's already ending, yeah. But if you tell me like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, I would have told you to fuck off. I would have told you to straight to fuck off and kiss my fucking ass. I would have told you that. But now I won't told you. I'll be like, you wait. You just wait. You might have to wait maybe 1 year, but still, wait. Because this shit, you have no idea what's about to transpire on this planet, man. You have no idea what you're going to see coming through those portals. You're going to start seeing stuff that, again, like you see in these old cartoons. And you're going to see beings that act like that way. And you're going to be like, what the fuck? You think I'm playing with you? This is true. They won't, again, interpretate this in front of your fucking goddamn face if it's not fucking real. They are not creative enough to think about a fucking cartoon character taking his nose out and making that into a key. They're not creative like that, my guys. Literally. Like Scooby-Doo making his claw into a key. They're not that creative, man. They're not that creative. They have to literally... They can't. I'm sorry. What do you want me to tell you? The only way they can get creative, they smoked a lot of fucking weed and take a lot of shrooms. But it's funny that when you look at, with the Laugh-O-Gram people, with the people that were part of Warner Brothers and obviously Disney, they used to smoke a lot of cigarettes. Maybe they smoked other things also. Maybe there was other things inside that cigarette. No one's never thought about that, right? I mean, they were fucking... Everyone was smoking back in the day, so you don't know what they were smoking. Maybe they were smoking a little bit of herb or something like that. You don't know. I don't know either. But could it be true? Fuck yeah. Especially back... Look, these guys eventually had everything in the world. Eventually, we're going to have to smoke a little bit of something. I mean, for crying out loud, every time you saw Walt Disney, he was too happy with something. So either he was on crack, or he had a whole bunch of fucking childs under his fucking goddamn basement. Alright? Because I won't be surprised if Walt Disney was a fucking pedophile. I won't be fucking surprised. I wouldn't be fucking surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be. And supposedly he had like all daughters and no boys. Which I'm just like, all those are his kids? Are those really his kids? I don't know, man. This is stuff that you need to fucking question and think about, man. Because again, you live in a Truman Show. You watching a show on a TV screen, even if it's called News Live. But people don't want to point this out. People don't want to think about this stuff because, again, they're scared. They're deep down in the subconscious, they're scared, and some of them don't want to admit it. Some of them think it's a joke. And some of them think that, that you're crazy. I'd rather be crazy than be blind. A blind person that can't see anything will literally know that there's a video game right here. Because the blind person has been inside themselves, inside of darkness so long that they literally see light now. Okay? Have you ever seen the movie? I'm putting out quotes here from movies and shows, but have you ever seen the movie They Live? You know that blind brother, man? He's like, I might be blind, but the Lord has made me see. And I'm like, hallelujah. I'm like, respect, brother, respect. Yeah, it's true. I may be blind, but the Lord has made me see. And I'm like, yo, yes. Speak, brother, speak. Hell yeah. Fucking for real, man. I love that movie. I fucking love that movie, man. I really love that movie. That part when the fucking cops are beating him up too. I'm like, you gonna beat up a blind man? You gonna beat up a blind man? God, man, like, I'm glad they show that in that movie because it just shows that these orcs don't care. I mean, you have it in all your movies and sometimes your cartoons also, but again, that's just another good example of them not giving a fuck. They don't care if you're blind, man. They're gonna beat you to a bloody pulp. Why? Because they know that you don't have to. They know that, hey, just because you're blind doesn't mean you're literally all blind. They know that. They know that. But do you? That's something that a lot of people don't know, and they take advantage of that. So you gotta be careful. You do. You gotta be careful. They take advantage of people ignorancy. All right, they do. They really do. So, let's see. What's my other? My other final thoughts probably on the whole cartoon stuff is that I, I do say this in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the cartoons were interpreted as black folks, Hispanic folks, Afro people. We were interpreted in that movie as cartoons, and it's funny that people do see it like that now. I mean, it was always been that way, obviously. Even I think also in the Who Framed Roger Rabbit book, which is called Who Censored Roger Rabbit. For kind of like when you saw the cover of Who Censored Roger Rabbit, his rabbit fur was actually brown, not white. See, it's funny too because most people might be like, "If how is Bugs Bunny a brother if he's white or gray?" I'm like, you guys are not looking at in between. If he's white, he's an albino, like his original look. If he's gray, like gray and white, like he has right now, you know what that is, right? He's a hybrid. What's his other half of the parent? I don't fucking know. Carlton, could a normal rabbit and a hare have kids? I don't know. I'm just fucking with you guys like that. It's like, but it is something to think about because you gotta pay attention to colors también, guys. Colors are sorry, colors and numbers and shapes are nature's calling card. You gotta look at these and you gotta listen to it too because that's how she communicates. That's how she communicates with you, and you can communicate with her with the same way. You can also connect with her telepathically. You can just talk to her literally in your head. You can talk to her right now in your head while you're watching me. Some other people might think that's crazy or something like that, but it's whatever, man. Whatever. It just goes back to imagination. People just don't have an active imagination. Not to say that you see, when it comes, a lot of people look at that and stay in. That's the thing. People might look at that and be like, "Oh, don't get too mixed up with your imaginations in real life or something like that." For example, um, but when you use imagination to your real life, basically, stuff changes around you. So when you look at it that perspective, yes. In the other one perspective, I can see why people do say that. Because what I'm talking about is I'm talking about in an enlightenment way that changes your reality. People are talking about it in a way of like, oh, don't become crazy like a fool or something like that. So that's why there's some things you just gotta keep to yourself, man. There's just some things that you just gotta keep to yourself because inside your heart and your soul, your spirit and your soul, that it's the truth. But some brothers and sisters out here and other people around here might not see it that way, and that's fine. That's fine. It's just that in tune know. It's like looking at everybody and like, you don't know what I know, man. You know? We all know that feeling. It's like, fuck you, I've done my work. Like that, man. So, man, have you put your feet on the dirt, on wood, on grass? No? Well, motherfucker, don't fucking talk to me, man. What are you doing? Get the fuck away from me. You're nothing but a, what we call it? What we call about them? Scum? No, not scum. That's a little bit too fucked up. A slime. There we go. You're nothing but a slime. No. Most people are like, that's even worse. Which one you want to be called, guys? I'm you know what? Just call me an asshole at that point, because the other two sound so bad. I'm like, just call me an asshole. At least at least I could be passable as an asshole. I don't be passable as these other things. Funny as fuck, man. Funny. If you guys lived rent free in my head, literally, you guys would be chilling there. I'd be like, oh, I'm staying here for the rest of my life. I'd be like, cool. Where's the rent money? I do that to some music that gets stuck in my head. I'm like, oh, you want to live here free, right? All right, where's the money? It's like, what? And they literally leave. And I'm like, that's what I thought. You're not staying here fucking free. Rent free, bitch. You're paying. If you're going to stay in my head, you're paying. You're paying, all right? You're paying. All right? I'm using that money to either build or pay my rent. All right? Seriously. All right. So you got to pay attention to these classic cartoons. You gotta pay attention to how they are too, because some of these classic cartoons will literally show you what we were around with back in the day. For crying out loud, there's a Looney Tunes short with Bugs Bunny and a giant. I remember seeing that when I was a kid too, and I was just like, they're telling you. There's even one when Porky Pig, an orc, sees a giant Indian dude, but it's actually us. And something happens to him. I forgot because I was falling asleep when I was watching that show because I was getting tired. And all of a sudden, he falls from the stratosphere he falls from the sky, hits the ground. The ground literally implodes, comes to him. It's like, it's almost like it's almost like this. This is the layer of the planet, and then he goes like this, and it literally goes in like this while he sinks down, and then United States of America. I'm like, that's funny because that's the exact spot where you see a whole bunch of mountain areas. So I'm just like, I need to watch that short again. But when I saw that, I was just like, even when I was falling asleep like this, I was looking at it like, I'm like, what the fuck did he just show me? I was remember hanging out with my friend, and my friend was just like, yo, man, these cartoon logics are ridiculous. And I'm just like, literally in my head, I'm more like, maybe I shouldn't tell him. He'll probably crack. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't tell him. He'll find out one day. He'll find out. And when he sees that, he'll be like, what? I'll be like, dude, reality logic is non-existent when it comes to stuff like this, literally. So I feel like I should say something else too. Okay, I want to get this out there too. I found out too the guy that does that. The guy, okay, the guy that designed Bosco, and Foxy, I believe. I think he made Foxy, but Bosco, the guy that made Bosco, you know how Mickey looks like and everything like that. He made that design. Most people be like, didn't Iwerks do it? He did. Iwerks did finalize what Mickey did look like. Yes, but a long time ago, from what I've been from what I heard, and I think this is also on Wikipedia, is that Walt, after he lost Oswald, there was like a painting that they had in their room, you know, for their friendship, that they were all walking together and all that. And it was a picture of all mouses together, because when you look at their shorts, especially the Oswald ones and the Foxy ones, they had mouses that literally look like Mickey Mouse. And and Walt Disney saw that, and he made Mickey, and he just finalized it with Iwerks, because the guy that made um Bosco, he was the original guy that finalized the art and stuff like that, because he was actually really good out of all of them. From what I've learned from that animator, maybe someone else finalized it too, but I think he finalized it mostly, the whole thing. You know, like they sketched it out and he like finalized what they really look like, what you see on screen, and be like, "Yo, that's an iconic look." You know, it's like that. He made those iconic looks basically, and when people look at it, people think that when people look at Bosco or Foxy, they'd be like, "Oh, that's a rip off of Mickey Mouse." To be honest, the only one that was ripping off Mickey was actually the only one that was ripping off Mickey was Walt Disney. Walt Disney was ripping off a mouse character that all his brothers that was in Laugh-O-Grams, they all made that design. They all yes, one made it famous, but well, Walt made the design famous while one guy created it and all his friends basically adapted it. You know? And that's why when Foxy was around for Warner Brothers, that was like the first Warner Brothers character. There was only like 3 shorts, and that's just a little history. It's not really an Enlightenment thing, but it is a fun note right there that um Disney called Warner Brothers and they're like, can you stop having Foxy look exactly like Mickey? People are gonna get confused around here, and he looks exactly like Mickey and Minnie. And some people, Warner Brothers, the ones that made the cartoons of Foxy and stuff and Bosco, they were like, yeah, all right, that's fine. So they did one more short that was called One More Time, which is a really good short. I like the song. One more time, one more. It's a really good song, a really good short. And for one outing, they literally killed this character off at the end. They literally killed him off. Yes, you see him and be like, "That's all, folks." You know, you see him at the end of that, but they literally killed him off. They killed Foxy off. They shot his ass, and his girlfriend runs away and that off screen and shit like that. And that's it. That's the time. That's the last time we see Foxy. Even though he did came back in one episode of Animaniacs, which I do remember. I like his design. It looks like the Animaniacs. Now he wasn't in the Animaniacs, the Tiny Toons Adventure Show, but I do like his Animaniacs look. Actually, it makes sense that his look would look like that. Animaniacs like, but as a fox, you know. So it makes sense that he does look like that. So, and hopefully in the future we see more Foxy. And I think people need to see the first ever Looney Tunes character more and more. Besides probably Bosco, I don't mind seeing Bosco again, but his redesign has to be different. I did heard that Bosco once the guy that made Bosco, he left One Brothers and he took Bosco with him, and then eventually we got Porky Pig. So when he left and brought Bosco with him, he brought Bosco to MGM, and he literally, from some of the pictures I saw online, he literally did make Bosco into a brother. Like he literally Instead of being like, oh, is Bosco something, or is he, a so-called Negro child? They literally made him like that. And MGM, which people got even more offended of. Which I'm just like, he is this. He's a so-called African child, a so-called African American child, a so-called black child, and when you make him like that, oh, it's offensive. So when we look at the Proud family, they can't have big lips. You have to have like white people lips, right? Uh, people don't think. People don't think. People don't think. Like you won't think. And the thing is, dude, there are statues of us looking like that, man, with the big nose and big lips. I think obviously I mentioned that before, but yes, there are statues of us like that, man. Again, one of the biggest stuff is like that in Egypt. You're gonna be offended with that? It's funny that they don't point out of that being offensive. It's funny that they don't, right? Because they can't hide that shit. They can't say anything about that. Because if they did, all of a sudden we'd be like, holy shit, wait a minute, that actually looks like me. Because they don't want to point fingers at the Egyptian stuff with all the pharaohs and all that. While you look at it and you be like, wait a minute. Like that. So that's why they try to be offensive with all that stuff. And some of our brothers and sisters look like that. Not all of them, but some of them do. Kind of people think that they don't, and I'm just like, are we living in a like? I know we live in a twilight zone here, but come on, guys, come on. So that's it. I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. I might do more talking about the classic cartoons, but if I do another just talking about the classic cartoon stuff, then I'll probably do a video video collage basically of the ones that will show of how our people are, obviously, and what these Caucasian people betrayed us in these old cartoons. One, I already showed you it on my channel, which is the Foxy ones. I might use one of the Foxy ones to add it with the Bosco one and the Mickey Mouse one, and also with Oswald. Because I'm thinking of doing like a video showing Oswald, Foxy, Bosco, and then maybe Mickey with Bosco and all that probably. So I'm thinking some ideas here. But 5% remaining, so I'll see you guys later and be safe.